Have you ever had that feeling that there's more to reality than what we can see, hear, and touch? Well, back in 1910, a philosopher named Rudolf Steiner wrote a book called The Way of Initiation that dives headfirst into that very idea. He basically lays out a step-by-step guide for how anyone can develop the senses needed to perceive these other worlds. So let's dig into his fascinating work. So the whole thing really starts with this one huge question. Are our five senses the be-all and end-all of understanding what's real? I mean, is it possible we're missing out on an entire dimension of existence just because we haven't trained ourselves how to see it?
And Steiner's answer? It's a huge, definite yes. He claims that these superphysical worlds aren't some fantasy or something you just have to believe in. Nope. He says they're a reality that every single one of us can learn to access by waking up these abilities that are just lying dormant inside us.
So here's how we're going to break it down. We'll start with this idea of a world beyond our senses, and the number one thing that holds us back, our own minds. Then we'll get into the actual nitty-gritty, the practical steps he calls veneration, discipleship, and probation, which he says can lead to a whole new way of seeing.
Okay, let's jump right in. Steiner makes this really bold claim that there's a super physical world out there, and it's just as real, just as solid as the world we know. For someone who's done the work, it's not some mystical idea. It's a tangible reality they can experience directly.
And this quote from Steiner himself really gets to the heart of it. The ability to see these higher worlds isn't some special gift for a chosen few. It's a universal potential. It's in all of us, just waiting for us to unlock it.
So you gotta ask, right? If we all have this incredible potential, why aren't we all walking around seeing these higher worlds? Well, Steiner points his finger at a pretty surprising culprit, our own modern supercritical way of thinking.
And this really shows the clash Steiner was talking about. On one hand, you've got our modern intellect. It's all about criticism, judgment, what we can prove with our senses. But on the other hand, for this inner work, the soul needs the exact opposite. Things like veneration, devotion, and reverence to actually develop inner perception.
Now, it's super important to get this straight. Steiner's not saying our intellect is bad. Not at all. He totally gets that criticism is what drives science and progress. But he's warning us that the same tool, when we turn it inward, can act like a wall, totally shutting us off from these more subtle realities.
So if our critical mind is the lock on the door, then what's the key? For Steiner, it all starts with cultivating a very specific inner attitude he calls veneration.
He calls this the path of devotion. And, that might sound a little strange, but it's not about blind faith. It's about developing a deep, genuine sense of respect and awe for the world. He saw this feeling as actual nourishment for the soul, the food it needs to grow these new organs of perception.
And this isn't just some fuzzy, passive feeling. He's talking about real, active work. He challenges us to consciously look for the good in everything and everyone, to literally stop ourselves from jumping to judgment and to fill our minds with thoughts of admiration instead. It's a mental discipline. Okay, so once you've started building that foundation of veneration, you're ready for the next stage, the path of discipleship. And this is where the serious inner work really begins. This whole phase is about finding quiet moments to get some inner stillness, and then learning to watch yourself almost like you're a scientist studying a specimen, with a calm, detached curiosity. The idea is to step back from all your personal drama so you can start connecting with bigger, more universal truths.
And the whole point of all this meditation and self-observation is to awaken what Steiner called a higher being inside you. Now, this isn't some other person. It's a deeper, more perceptive part of yourself, the part that's capable of tuning in to that superphysical world.
All right, now we're getting to the really practical stuff. He calls it probation. This is the first of three big stages where you start to actively build and train your spiritual senses.
So, probation is all about disciplined inner training. Think of it like going to the gym for your soul. The goal is to build new spiritual organs, new instruments that can perceive the world in a way your physical eyes and ears just can't.
And the exercises here are really fascinating. They're all designed to make you incredibly sensitive. Things like watching a plant grow and then watching it decay, and really letting yourself feel what that's like. Or learning to listen to someone talk with total inner silence, without a single thought of judgment.
So, you do all this work. What's the payoff? What do you get at the end of the road? Well, according to Steiner, it's nothing less than a completely new way of experiencing the world.
I mean, this quote just says it all, doesn't it? That breakthrough moment where the spiritual world, what he calls the astral plane, isn't just an idea anymore. It becomes a direct experience. You literally begin to hear with the soul.
And this is probably the most mind-bending part of this whole thing, so it's worth repeating. Steiner insists he is not speaking in metaphors. He is making the claim that through this training, you develop actual, functioning spiritual senses that open up a layer of reality that was hidden from you before.
Which leaves us with a pretty profound question to chew on, right? If the reality we know is completely dependent on the 5 senses we happen to have, what else might be out there? What new worlds could possibly open up to us if we just dared to look in a different way?